Alrighty, guys. So this is going to be our manager tips training. Just a little overview of this training. I'm going to do a two-part. We have our charge logs, and then we also have our cash logs. I'm going to do a quick high-level overview of both the charge and the cash logs, and then at the end of each log that I go through, we're going to do a live demo so I can show you guys how to fill out each one of the logs. And then at the end, we'll have a time for you guys to ask any questions that you may have. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start with our charge logs first. And then our first step with the charge logs is we're going to go through all of the individual timesheets and record the hours worked into the charge log. I recommend you as the manager do this after you've approved your timesheets so you know that those logs or those timesheets aren't going to need any more editing. And then we want to do this, or not we want to do this. We want to go into the summary by day view to gather this, just because it's going to give you an overview of the actual working hours, and you can see whether or not your employee has sick time. We don't want to include any of the sick or PTO time in our charge logs because we want this to go off of the hours worked in the store. So here you can see there's a screenshot of the summary by day view in our timesheets. And then this next slide is going to show you where you'll want to fill out those hours into our charge log. So if you see here, this is a screenshot of our charge log. We have the first box here is going to be our location and date range. It's very important that you fill that out so that way we get accounted for your store and what dates you're using that for. And then in this second box here, you'll have to input their first, their last name, the employee number, and the total hours. There is a formula in this non-cash tip, so you won't have to worry about filling this out. As long as you have accurate numbers here, we'll be good. And then to get your total number for your cash tips, we're going to have to find that number and POSIB it and record it over to our charge log. The manager will do that. They'll log into POSIB it. I recommend doing this the day after the payroll closes. So the payroll will close on the Saturday, and then you'll go in on Sunday to pull these numbers for your stores. This is what that report is going to look like in POSIB. We use the employee sales report and just get the total tip number. And then this is where you'll want to put that number in your charge log. Once you put that number in, this number here will calculate, it'll divvy it up based on how many hours your teams worked, and automatically fill that amount of cash tips out. So that concludes our high-level overview of the charge logs. I'm going to do a demo of how to find the information as well as how to fill this out. So I'm going to exit out of my presentation here. Oh, there you go. So here is a blank charge tip log. For our location, I'm just going to put RGO2 for our example. And then our date range, I'm going to use the date range that we used from last pay period. So that's going to be the 23rd through the 5th. So we'll do 23 through 8, 5, 23. Awesome. And then now to get my employees' information and their hours, I'm going to pop on over to work here, and I'm signed in as a test manager. So I recommend doing that on accessing your team's timesheet. So we'll go to that hamburger menu, my team members, and then just for time's sake, I'm only gonna use Aaron H and Aaron Willis. So I've got those two guys selected, and then we'll do view their timesheet. And so here, we'll be able to look at the timesheet as an overview. It does automatically put you in the time entry view. I recommend you just do the summary by day. That way, at a higher level overview, you'll be able to tell whether or not your employee has PTO or sick. There'll be like a PTO column here. And you can just remove those hours out of their time. So as we can see, it looks like Aaron only has regular and overtime hours. So we're going to want to use all of the hours for this spreadsheet. So they have 55.69 hours. So under our charge log for the total hours, we'll do 55.69. And then for the first name, we can go ahead and put Aaron. I recommend you guys put the full last name. For time's sake, I'm just going to put Aaron H here. And then for the employee number, you won't have to click away here. The employee ID is going to be found right beside the name of the employee's timesheet that you're viewing. So Aaron's employee ID number is going to be 1301. Right, so we'll put 1301 here, and then we'll move on to our next employee. So to do that, we can toggle between our employees by clicking this arrow here. And now we're on Aaron Willis's timesheet, and they're in the summary by day. Now, at a higher level glance, you can see that there's no PTO on this timesheet. There's no sick time, so we don't need to remove hours. We can just do our total, which is that 66.18. So I'm going to go over to my charge log and put 66.18. And then I'm also going to fill out Aaron W. And then we need to get their employee number. That employee number is 3000. Awesome. And then these are all the employees that I'm going to use for this example, but you'll want to go through and do this for your entire team, as well as I know in New Mexico, we share employees a lot. So if there's any employees that you have come over and help out at your store, you'll want to do the same thing for this. I will say that because you're not the manager of some of the employees that you're sharing, it's going to be difficult for you to get their employee ID. So if you do need someone's employee ID number, you can reach out to me and Andrew. We can give you that number, or you can also work with your coworkers as well, the other manager at that store, and just get that ID number for them. And then now we'll need to get this non-cash tip amount so we can have our bud tenders get their payments. So we'll minimize this and go into our Posibit. So this is the dashboard of Posibit. Any multi-store operators, you're going to want to select the store that you're viewing. For this example, we're doing RGO2. So I'm going to scroll down to my RGO2 store, and then it'll give me the information for RGO2. Now, to get the numbers that you need, you're going to want to go to the reporting side in employee sales. It's going to show this dashboard here. Here's your date range. You're going to want to do it for that payroll. So we're doing the 23rd through the 5th and hitting apply. We're going to hit run. So now that we have our employee sales, there's a tip column right here. We're going to get the total number of tips in that column. So for this example, it's going to be 2,623 with 65 cents. So on our charge tip log, we're going to want to put that number in so that way it can calculate how many tips each of our employees need based on the hours that they worked. And this automatically pre-fills. If you guys notice, there is a formula in here. I recommend not touching this just so that way it's accurate whenever it's sent over to me. And then also feel free to make any edits to this section of the sheet. I know I did send over like a example template that has like a Jane and John Doe. And it also has like some of the managers included. I've noticed some people put like 0 for the manager hours. You guys are more than welcome to edit this to fit who's on your team. Of course, you as a manager won't need to be on this, as well as my Jane Doe and John Doe examples. So you guys can remove that and just put your team's information. So that concludes our charge tip demo. So now we're going to get back into our presentation and move over to the cash tip side. Done. Alrighty, so now we're going to be getting into our cash tip logs. I recommend that you guys fill this tip log out daily. It's going to save you time if you do it this way. So that way, come payroll weekend, you're not scrounging trying to figure out who made what on what day. I would honestly have like my closer do that, whether it's you or an ASM, just going in and filling out the total cash amount for each day. And then this is what the tip report or the cash tip log looks like. So I've highlighted this little green box here. That green box is going to be where you will fill out your information. So if you notice, there's like a location section, the employee ID, first, last name, and then the date range. That's all that you're concerned about here. You don't need to worry about totaling that up. There is a formula in the sheet that will do that for you. So don't worry about putting anything here. We're only focused on these date ranges. And then once you've double checked both of your tip logs, you're going to want to put it in an email and send it on over to payroll. I've included an example of a really good email that how we would prefer to get it from Mick. I really appreciate how they have everything in here. They have their store name, tip logs, and then the payroll date they're associated with. And they've also got both their cash and their tip logs in here. Keep in mind, I get about 80 to 90 of these templates sent over to me. So if you can consolidate wherever you can, as far as like just putting your cash and tip logs in the same email like this, I would really appreciate it. So I'm not having to sift through all of the emails and logs. And then I'm going to go ahead and get on to our cash log demo. Get out of this presentation here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up our cash log. So if you see here, I've already put in Aaron's name and employee ID based off of like the ID found in their timesheet and in work. And then for the location, I'm just going to put RGO 2. And then these dates, feel free to change the dates to fit the payroll. The formula is going off of this little center column in here. So for this example, Aaron, let's say he got 25, 20, 10, 50, and then he was off those 2 days. Do 14, 23. So if you notice, as I'm adding these tips in here, this total number is automatically populating. Like I said prior, there is a formula in here, so you guys don't really need to do anything outside of just record who received what at the end of the night. And then, like I said, just double check everything and send that over to us in an email. But this does conclude my demo for the cash tips. It's very straightforward. And then let me get back up my presentation here. Awesome. And then I do just want to remind everyone that we do have a payroll deadline. That deadline is going to be Monday at 9 a.m. So I need to have all of the timesheets approved and those logs sent over to me by Monday at 9 a.m. I do see most of you guys submit it Sunday, and that I appreciate that so much. My turnaround time for payroll for the entire organization is not that much. I have to submit payroll by Tuesday at noon. So as you can imagine, my turnaround time and my hours that I work on Monday are very long. So I appreciate when I can get this information in by the deadline. It saves me from having to spend time chasing down people so I can actually get us all paid on time. So with that being said, that concludes our training. I do have mine and Andrew's contact information up on the screen here. This is both of our direct contacts as well as the payroll email. You'll want to send those logs over to the payroll email. But like I said, if you guys have any questions or need anything, feel free to reach out to me and Andrew. And if you need an employee ID number, you can always Teams us and we can get that number over to you relatively quickly. We want to let you know that we're here to support you guys. So if you have any questions along the way, feel free to reach out to us, and we do not mind answering anything that you guys may have for us. That concludes my presentation on our tips training. Does anyone have any questions or any comments? Here we go.
I did have one question. What's it called? Whenever you're in the work situation, you're looking at the time card, right? You can export that and it gives you all their totals, right? There's this column right there in that report that it exports onto Excel that has a raw total. Is
Okay.
that the same as the daily summary? Like obviously you'd have to take out, like if they took PTO 5 hours from that raw amount of hours, but is that something we can look at too? Or would you like us looking at solely just the day-by-day summary?
If you are using reports, I want to empower you guys to use those resources. So if you're getting that from the report and just subtracting out those PTO times, that's totally fine. A
Okay.
lot of this information that you can find in work, you can find it in multiple different areas. But I guess the main takeaway for these charge logs, right, is we just want to make sure that we only have the hours worked for the employees. So if
Yeah.
that means that you're getting them from that report or you want to pull them from the summary by day, that's totally fine with me. Like I said, I want to empower you guys to use the system and use those reporting tools, because once we get advanced scheduler rolled out, a lot of this reporting is going to get taken to the next level. So that makes me happy you guys are using some of the reporting functions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're good, Lacey.
Okay, I just have a really quick question. So I noticed on the email example, excuse me, they'd only had the 2 logs. So do we not have to do the manager payroll checklist, completion checklist anymore? Because I've been sending it every payroll.
So the checklist, I'm not concerned with receiving that checklist
Okay.
back. That isn't something that you guys need to send over to me. That it's always good to have like a checks and balances, make sure that you're hitting every mark. But as far as reporting purposes go, you're fine to just send me those tip logs.
Okay, cool. That makes it a lot. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no worries, no worries.
We appreciate you using that checklist though. We were hoping it would help out a little bit.
Yeah, the checklist, that's a resource for you guys to use. Like I said, it's a great walkthrough, but as far as having to send that back, I'm not requesting that back. As long as you guys are able to follow through our processes and get us those accurate logs, then we are all set.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it looks like Carlos, you have a question?
Hi, good morning, Savannah. I wanted to thank both of you, for having this training and all the resources here. I did have a quick comment just to all the teams. I know we have a lot of folks bouncing around helping out other locations, so it's always good to keep a good tab and knowing where your people at and where they're clocking in and out. So not only are we getting the right tips paid, but also the labor is getting a properly allocated to the proper store. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I know there's a lot of teams that, a lot of moving parts when we have staffing issues. So just wanted to bring that out.
Yes. Yes, thank you for noting that. And I want to also say, if you guys need any support with like making sure those hours get allocated properly, or you need us to walk you through how to do that. I know we have the timesheet edits, but me and Andrew don't mind spending time with you guys to make sure that we're fully doing that for our employees that are getting transferred between stores. And then, like I said, with those employee ID numbers, if there is an employee that you don't have access to that you need that number, feel free to shoot me over a quick Teams message with their first and last name, and I will get you that number for you. Awesome. Anyone else have any questions? Perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give us about 8 minutes of our time back then, since nobody has any questions. Let me know though. Mine and Andrew's contacts were always available for you guys. Yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining. We really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day. We appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you,
Thanks for your
guys.
time.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Appreciate
Have a
y'all.
good day.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.